Well, dumbing it down, when you short a stock or short a metal or short anything, you're betting it's going to go down. And professionals are always on the opposite side of the market. The public goes on the long side and they buy something hoping it's going to go up. The professionals, their mindset is to figure out when they should bet that it's going to go down. And I see them in doing a little betting in here that it's going to go down. And I see shorting, and that's natural, and that's okay, because they were short before, and when gold went down, they came in and bought their shorts back in. And when they did that, they stabilized gold, which turned out very well for people who were long gold, because it stopped the correction. And anyway, we're headed up. I'm sure that the government's going to try to step in again to stop gold and silver, platinum, palladium from moving higher. I'm sure they're trying to keep oil down. This morning at 3:30, oil was up 2.40. Now it's down 70 cents. And so then they're in the markets working all the time, and it's very difficult to make decisions except on a long-term basis. So where's gold and silver going? They're going higher. As far as what's going to happen, as far as the timing on things getting much worse than they are already, and they are bad now. Again, everything takes more time than people think. And I'm still looking out 2.5 years or so, and there would have to be something extraordinary that would happen to change that. And what could that be? Perhaps some event that nobody had expected within the financial sphere to happen, and then it would send everything awry, and then send the financial part of our system down, and that would bring on depression and probably a lot of other things. And so in the absence of that, we have to deal with what we can generally see in the future. And so I expect that will be the time frame. What's going on now, as you pointed out before on the program, is that we have the United States government, the Treasury, and the Federal Reserve, privately owned, which are acting as conduits to keep the entire economy from collapsing. That's really the bottom line on it. And the Fed's in the repo market, injecting in a 2-day period $120 billion. They got other central banks doing the same thing. That aggregates something like $160 billion. We still have the discount window open to the banks. We don't know what they're doing right now because everything is a secret. And then we have the auctions. They're running $200 billion plus a month. And then we have, on top of that, the repo market. The M3, as it used to be called, is probably running somewhere between 14 and 15% right now. Inflation is still sticking at 13 and 5/8%. Long-term unemployment's 14 and 7/8%. All the indicators are towards degenerative process within the economic structure, not only of the United States but the world, degeneration of the financial system as well, and continued interference by government and central banks in that process, which is going to cause horrendous inflation.
And that's why we see gold exploding. It really should be up at around 3,000 now for the amount of money and liquidity they've issued. We're dealing with, conservatively, hundreds of trillions leveraged into God knows what, thousands of trillions. We've got Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, 50-something trillion, saying $5 trillion of it's in big trouble. But then we know that's been sold in securities over and over again and leveraged over and over again. And they bought up most of the real assets by doing this, and now they're positioning themselves for the IMF World Bank riot, as they call it, the breakdown of the economy. Northcom has announced that they will have regular army patrolling the streets of America just randomly wherever they want. They're training multiple brigades for this. It's just they're pulling out all the stops, Bob. And then Paulson was in Bloomberg, on Bloomberg TV, and I've got the article right here, and said a few congressmen said, hey, don't we get say in hundreds of billions a day being given to these banks, brokerage firms? And Paulson said, no, it's a contract, and you're not involved. The executive runs this, and the Federal Reserve runs this, which is private. And Congress, you know what? They sat down and they shut up. I mean, for anybody that knows the Bill of Rights, Constitution, Declaration of Independence, anybody that knows Congress does the funding, that's their authority. To see PDD 51, Bob, implemented in monetary policy, which is what it says in there. It says for economic or any other crisis. My God, this is open dictatorship by the banking elite, and now they're rolling the Ponzi scheme into the next level, saying the new thing will be a world carbon tax regionally and locally on us, distributed and controlled internationally, at the different geopolitical sectors, feeding back into the global corporate structure that nests in every capital. This is just hellish looting that's going on. And I guess the only place where we somewhat disagree is you're saying they've lost control. This looks like a controlled feeding frenzy. Do sharks get in feeding frenzies and bite each other and attack smaller sharks? Yes, but you've said this thing was engineered in the past. Why are you saying it's first comment on the Paulson situation, just saying, you know what, Congress, sit down and shut up, and they did.
Yeah, well, that's because they're paid off, most of them. And they do that through campaign contributions and other things. And that's why I continue to say clear Congress except for Ron Paul and get rid of them and start over again. Because if you don't, you're going to have the same problem, and we're going to lose. And, yes, that's what Paulson is telling Congress, sit down and shut up. But that's been going on for some time, but more blatantly lately within the last year or two, because things are getting far more difficult and within the economic and financial spheres.
In fact, I have quotes here from the leader of the House and the Senate, and they're saying, we don't even know what's going on. I'll read the quotes after we come back from break. We don't even know what's going on. We don't even understand. We don't know what to do. We'll just do whatever you say. Just totally compliant. Whatever the private bankers say, you run everything. Now, this is all contrived. This is engineered. This implosion, just like what Rothschild did in 1815, is being engineered. Let's skip the break for Infowars.com.
You know that it's a
Bob, flesh that out. Why are you saying they've lost control? I know they're saying that, but you see a lot of control here and vertical integration, massive consolidation of the international structure right now. I believe by design, and a lot of others believe by design. Even Stiglitz says they've done this by design in other cases. Says he doesn't know if this is by design. He's been out of the IMF World Bank for 7 years. What say you ye on that?
Well, I think it's controlled chaos, but only controlled to a degree at this time. What it'll evolve in eventually is collapse. Now, the question is, can they control the people of the world during the collapse period? And that's why they're doing what they're doing with Northern Command and bringing troops in and things like that. They think that they can control it by using American and perhaps even other forces. And that is their goal, because what they've been trying to do is a mess. And they're trying to do the best they can to control the collapse. And that's why it looks like it's working the way you just described for them. In other words, the consolidation is working and they're doing what they can. But in the end, it's still going to collapse.
And then I guess we'll be a banana republic ruled by Northcom?
Exactly. Unless the people use the 450 million weapons that they've got in America and say, look, we don't want that, and if the troops do not lay down their weapons, we're going to kill them all.
Well, the Declaration of Independence says it's not only our right, it's our sacred duty, but through cognitive dissonance, people think it's they say do whatever. Let them take your children, go to FEMA camps, line up in ditches. There is no moral right to resist any action of criminal government. And now it's not even government.